In the United States, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is wanting lawmakers to move forward with a second impeachment of U.S. President Donald Trump. To discuss this in a little more detail is U.S. political reporter Lisa Daftari joining me once again from Los Angeles. Lisa, Pelosi calls Trump an imminent threat to your democracy?
Yeah, well, a lot's happened in the last week or so here in the United States. So basically, after the violence, I should say, at the Capitol, where many people stormed the Capitol, breaking windows. There was a lot of peaceful protesters as well. I would like to mention that maybe 90% or more of the peaceful, and I'm making up these statistics, but based on what we've seen, based on the numbers of people that actually went into the Capitol building versus those who were outside, most were peaceful protesters, but a segment of them were not. They went into the Capitol building. They went in, and because of that, they are blaming Donald Trump for inciting these individuals, inviting them to do this kind of damage and inviting them to, do the protest to begin with, but to be more violent. So for that reason, they want to remove him from office forcefully. And many people will say, well, there's only about, less than 2 weeks left. Why remove him forcefully? Well, that's because once a president is impeached, they no longer get their salary for life. They are not guaranteed the security for life. And more importantly, in the case of Donald Trump, he can no longer run for office again, which we're looking at 2024, where many people believe that Donald Trump, because of this outpour of love and support that he has from his followers, would attempt to run for office yet again. So Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats want to make sure that that never happens.
Now, the Department of Justice has said that charges have been laid against 2 more men following last week's siege of the Capitol by supporters of U.S. President Donald Trump. One of the men was allegedly carrying plastic restraints, Lisa.
Yes, look, there's a lot of stories coming out. These are individuals who planted bombs, individuals who were carrying obviously weapons. More important, I think the striking story for me was that the bombs that were planted by the DNC and RNC both. These are awful, awful stories. These are unhinged individuals who went to the White House, to Washington, to the Capitol. My bottom line is this, Hal. Here in the United States, it could be felt around the world. The political tensions are so high, emotions are so high. You don't see an unbiased voice in the media anymore. You don't see politicians doing their job the right way anymore with a clear mind. Everyone's emotional, and to really be reporting on these stories, I feel like it's a soap opera. It's not fun. It's sad. It's sad more than anything else. I say that as a journalist. I say that as somebody who has immigrant parents who came here with a dream and passed along that dream to myself. And now I speak as someone who's a mother, looking at what we've created and how many generations it's going to take to correct. Will we ever correct this? Will we ever go back to being, people of the Constitution? I mean, this is really, we've ripped apart every law of the land. And I'd like to say this, look, for what it's worth, the Republicans as a party have apologized. They've called out this violence. They've condemned it time and again in the first hour of this all happening. So I think that the normal people in this country, they are still in the majority, and the fringes are doing the speaking, whether it's the BLM protests and burning down businesses or here what we saw at the Capitol. But again, emotions are high, and I hope that the lawmakers don't go into their jobs with these high emotions to create legislation that will last for many years to come.
Now, President Trump has ordered flags to fly at half-mast in honor of the Capitol police officer who died during the rioting in Washington, D.C. recently, and another who died just a few days later, Lisa.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate to have any casualties as a result of this protest. The young girl that was shot in the neck, who's from San Diego, that was an awful story. She's, a vet. She's somebody who served her country, and loved her president, and extremely zealous and extremely passionate about her beliefs, and went to Washington for probably a different cause than what ended up happening. Likewise, these 2 policemen who lost their lives really for no good reason. And again, we all are thinking of them and their families.
Now, Lisa, apparently Capitol Police were warned by the FBI and the NYPD about potential violence at the Capitol?
Yeah, a lot of people are questioning what had happened here and what was the line of communication, meaning the Capitol Police had to have known that there was going to be a lot of people coming out into the streets. And not only that, that the tensions would be high, that they should be on alert. Now, there's other reports that they were offered additional backup help that they refused. That's all, again, these are rumors. I'm not confirming any of that at this point. Still, others believe that they were in cahoots with um, whatever powers may be that may have talked to them to allow this to happen, for there to be this photo op, for there to be this situation. None of it is confirmed to be true. But again, this only points to one conclusion, that there are many questions as to how this happened. Doesn't make sense logistically that this would happen, that the Capitol Police, that's entrusted with a very high sensitive area, would not be able to handle the mess that occurred.
Now, have you seen some of the video that's gone viral of Trump and his supporters, along with the counter-protesters, clashing and fighting in San Diego? Lisa, you
Yes.
live in one divided country right now.
Right. Exactly, Hal. And that's the question. When you watch these videos, you think, it's so crazy because one side can't even see the perspective of the other side. It's so we've gone down this hole so far, that one side cannot see the other. One side cannot respect the beliefs of the other. And had we been in a situation where we could at least respect the other side, social media companies wouldn't be canceling out. We wouldn't have this cancel culture. They wouldn't be silencing the other side. Like, you can hear an opposing opinion and say, well, that's not my opinion, but freedom of speech, right? But now we're actually having, opinions canceled and silenced and suppressed. Very, very, very dangerous times.
You know, it's funny you should bring that up. One of the hosting platforms that hosts a lot of our videos, actually, we were flagged and some of our videos were deleted as well because it didn't fall in with the mainstream media, because we're not mainstream media, as you're well aware. Now, Twitter's stock has plummeted 12%, or about $5 billion, since Trump was booted from the platform. And Lisa, now Parler, one of Trump's new social media sites, may be down for a while. And why is that?
Yeah, all of these sites that are basically housing conservative opinion are going to be taken down. Parler obviously was supposed to be an alternative to Twitter, to allow conservatives to freely express their opinions on a platform that wouldn't correct or take down videos, like you said in your case, and when they don't agree with them. I know ever since the election took place, or when Hunter Biden's laptop story came up, that's when they started correcting and putting these little asterisks and putting like little disclaimers under videos and under posts. Again, their stocks plummeted. Well, they're going to plummet more than this, because what the left needs to understand, and the mainstream media is really leading this charge along with Nancy Pelosi and others in leadership. What they need to understand is they may not agree with Trump supporters. They may, believe that Biden won by a landslide. They may believe all of this, but what they cannot deny is that 75 million people voted for President Trump. And to deny that that population exists is to leave a huge and dangerous blind side for themselves as they go forward. It's like a pressure cooker. It's going to implode at some point if these individuals, 75 million people, who believed a different way, or believe that a different candidate should have been in office, and now believe that their vote or their voices are being suppressed. More importantly, there will be some action to allow them to get their opinions out, get their frustrations out. They are also filled with emotion, just like the other side. And if these two sides can't see eye to eye, that's where we see the danger down the road.
And I guess with Parler, the conservative version of Twitter, and the reason why they're struggling right now is specifically because Amazon and Google has really pulled their support from their platform.
Cancel.
Lisa, it appears as though big tech, like you just said in North America, are censoring people. Why do they not censor foreign authoritarian regimes instead of censoring us here in North America?
That's the first thing I tweeted. I said, I've been saying this for years, that Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of the Iranian regime, has been calling for death to America, death to Israel, for years, using the platform to threaten us. And they still maintain their pages and their platforms on Facebook, on Twitter. It's ridiculous, is what it is. You have child pornography. You have the Chinese. You have the North Koreans. You have the Venezuelans. You have the Iranian regime. You have terrorists, actual ISIS members on these platforms, but yet Donald Trump is too violent to have a platform. Look, I think a lot of Americans are catching on to the hypocrisy. I know that there will be some backlash. There already is. You mentioned Parler. I should mention that Parler just filed a lawsuit against Amazon for taking them down. This was hours ago. So there will be backlash. There will be a counter movement to all of this. It's not going to go away. The left needs to understand that. You can't just wish this away. You can't just silence people and hope that they go away. I think the momentum will build, and the right will want to at least get their message across, or their communications back on track.
Lisa, a report from the Times of Israel says Iran will expel UN nuclear inspectors next month unless the United States lifts its sanctions on the country. The Islamic Republic of Iran wants them lifted no later than February 21st. Now, will it happen with the new Biden administration moving into the White House?
It says a lot when our enemies are giving Biden a 1 month deadline from when he comes into office, removing the sanctions and making the deal normalized again between the Iranian regime and the United States. Look, it's going to be very difficult for Joe Biden to go back to the Iran deal as he said he would. I know those around him, many of the Democrat lawmakers are also pushing for an unconditional snapback to go back to the Iran nuclear deal. But it's going to be very difficult. These are no longer Obama times. When you have the Iranian regime chest thumping and actually declaring that they're going to 20% uranium enrichment, it's going to be very difficult to close our eyes and just jump back into the deal wholeheartedly. Now, that being said, the optics didn't look too good when Obama jumped into that deal. So we don't know. I mean, look, there's a lot of human rights abuses. There's a lot of money going into terrorism. There's a lot that the Iranian regime is doing that would deter any sane person from sitting down and normalizing relations. But we shall see if the Biden administration is going to bite or not.
Lisa, every day we hear about COVID-19 related stories. A lot of the vaccines are making their way into the arms of frontline healthcare workers right now and patients at long-term care facilities. But virus infections around the world have now topped 90 million, with a new outbreak being discovered south of Beijing in China.
It's being discovered everywhere, including the United States. I don't know if you have any cases in Canada quite yet, and I hope you don't. But this is being discovered everywhere, not just in Europe. I know that it has spread very quickly to Italy, which is a hotspot once again. It has spread to Japan and South Korea. It has spread to the Middle East. And of course, as I mentioned, here in the United States, we've already detected the strand in 2 Western states. You know, it has been and continues to be very difficult to play catch up with this virus. Once we think we have the vaccine and we think that we have some sort of control over this, getting the population vaccinated, 1 tier at a time. But then this happens where we don't know about this new strain. How much has it evolved from the previous strain? How well will the vaccine respond to the new strain? And how dangerous is this new strain? I know here in Southern California, our hospitals are jam-packed. They are actually treating people outside because they can no longer, treat the patients that they already have. They're running out of oxygen. It's awful. It's truly awful, and the numbers keep climbing. So for them to now deal with an evolved strain, it's adding one more obstacle to this already horrific pandemic.
Now, here's a nice little story I want to wrap things up with you here. With landmines finally cleared, a church along the Jordan River held its first service in 54 years. Tell me more about that.
Yes, this is a beautiful story. We had this on the Foreign Desk newsletter this morning. This is the first time that this church is having services after the 6-day war. First and foremost, it's tremendous to see a church up and running in the Middle East. Middle East has not been a place where that has been friendly towards Christianity. Christians have always had to either practice underground or in private, in secret, in small groups and such. And here you have along the Jordan River, a church that has actual bullet holes in it. If you see the pictures, it's tremendous. A real piece of history. And to say that this is another face of the new Middle East, where Arabs and Israelis are making peace, the young people are moving forward, and with tourism and trade deals and exchanging technologies and so forth. And now for there to be church, not just synagogue and mosque, but there to be also a church right there on the Jordan River after 54 years. This is yet another milestone for the Middle East, and we hope we see more stories like this.
Praise God. Our foreign affairs expert and U.S. political reporter Lisa Daftari joining me once again from Los Angeles. Thank you, Lisa.
My pleasure.
On behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News, I'm Hal Roberts. God bless and thanks for watching.